Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putri Winanti, and I would like to present my first project of classroom management. And I have, so here there are two parts. The first part is about cases of classroom conflict, and the second part is about solving some problems. Okay. The first part, the table of contents, is about introduction. The second conflict. The third, conflict in the classroom. The fourth is strategies for classroom conflict. And the last one is conclusion. Introduction. One of the most striking characteristics of human beings is the diversities, different ways of being, thinking, and existing, different needs, worldviews, ethical positions, mark the relationship between people. In a sense, interpersonal conflicts are understood as tension that involves different interests or positions, are inherent to human relationships, and are present in various social organizations, among them the school. The school, as microcosms of society, brings together different views of the world, different ways of being, thinking, and living, thus becoming a space for representing social differences and being a place where different conflicts occur daily. So, dealing with this situation type requires learning, and that is why teachers need training in conflict management so that they can correctly manage the classroom conflicts and educate also your students for conflict management. The the next part is the conflict. The conflict is defined and classified from different perspectives, and its different can differ in context, process, intervention, and study areas. Conflict is a phenomenon of incompatibility between individuals or groups with irreconcilable ends and or values between them, considering it a social process. There are four elements are present and must be addressed in all conflicts because they give rise to it. The conflict protagonist, the conflict protagonist, the process and the way the protagonist face the conflict, and the context in which it occurs. In turn, Crispino understands conflict as to any divergent opinion or a different way of seeing or interpreting an event. That is, the conflict originates in a difference of interests, desires, aspirations, or positions between individuals. He adds, a conflict can arise from difficulties in communication and assertiveness. In this way, we can say that there is a conflict when two or more people interact with each other and perceive incompatible differences or threats to their resources or values, and when they respond according to what was perceived, then the ideal conditions for conflict are created. The conflict intensity, duration, or severity can then increase or decrease depending on the strategies used to resolve it. Regardless of the different conflict definitions, there is no conflict if the individual involved are not aware of its existence. This conclusion is consensual to the majority of the definition proposal and to the attempts to conceptualize the conflict and found in the specialized literature. In turn, Drager presents a typology that seems to reflect the type of school conflicts: relationship communication conflicts, interest or needs conflicts, and preference values, and beliefs conflicts. Then it's important to say that the conflict constructive paradigm indicates that the conflict has positive and negative aspects, advantages and disadvantages. This new model is opposed to the classic model and indicates that moderate levels of conflict are perceived as positive. The conflict effects are positive when they are well managed to establish more cooperative relations and seek to reach an integrated solution for the benefit of those involved in the conflict. Okay. The third is conflict in the classroom. The classroom consistence problems are mainly related to social and pedagogical changes in the schools. There are several complex situations that teachers can face during classes. Some of those indicated by the teachers are namely students' presence that didn't focus on activities, students with serious learning and communication difficulties, students groups who do classroom work and maintain an aggressive and provocative attitude. Students with destructive attitudes towards school material, theirs and all colleges, as well as aggressive and violent attitudes towards colleges and teachers. Apathetic students who don't show classes enthusiasm, and in extreme situations, students who take and display instruments in the class that can be used as weapons in an attitude of defiance to the teacher. Given the increase in the classroom conflicts, multiple cases, which include a combination of external and internal factors in the school environment, are indicated, such as the increase in compulsory education, the increase in students per class, the progressive decline in the teacher's authority about students, and students are less likely to comply with rules and limits, with, which result in conflict. Here move to strategies from classroom conflict. Teachers' perceptions of conflict indicate that they focus mainly on the conflict's negative aspects. It's noteworthy that the methods most used at school, as of students' conflicting behaviors, including warning, disapproval, summoning guardians, and in some cases, student suspension. Methodologies that provoke negative feelings and later originate new undesirable behaviors being applied without taking into account the needs, personal conflicts, problems, and students' expectations. As indicated by Tarsila, if the teacher is not an effective conflict manager, he will project this lack of skill, resulting in negative learning for students. Okay. So there are five strategies for classroom conflict. The first is avoiding. When conflicted parties show low levels of concern for others' interests and a low level of concern for oneself, strategy characterized by a low degree of assertiveness and a low degree of cooperation, where neither its interests nor those of its opponents are satisfied. The second strategy is dominating, reflecting the attempt to satisfy one's interests without consideration of the interests of the other, characterized by a high assertiveness and lack of cooperation, in which the acquisition of objectives is viewed with supremacy over the interests of the other party. Furthermore, it is often considered an aggressive strategy. The next is obliging. Tends to be adopted by those individuals who attempt to play down the differences and emphasizes commonalities to satisfy the concerns of the other party. Represent a conflict management strategy where the cooperation is high and assertiveness is low. And the next, integrating. Individuals who use this strategy manage conflict directly and cooperatively, seeking to solve in collaboration with the other. Is a strategy connected with problem solving. The use of this involves openness, exchanging information, looking for alternatives, and examination of differences to reach an effective solution for everyone involved in the conflict. Is a strategy useful for effectively dealing with complex problems? Another strategy is compromising, represents the attempt to satisfy moderately and partially the interests of all those involved in a conflict and shares commonalities with all of the other four strategies. Compromising is an intermediate strategy on assertiveness and cooperation, which implies a compromise in the search for an acceptable intermediate position for everyone involved in the conflict. Okay, the next one is conclusion. The school is an institution that reproduces a microcosm of society, bringing together diverse identities. This context with diverse personalities, roles, and values is full of conflicts, problems, and differences between the different actors that make up the school, or students, teachers, staff, and parents. Thus, the school system, in addition to involving a range of people with different characteristics, includes a significant number of continuous and complex interactions depending on the stages of development of each one. So, school is a place where individuals with different characteristics, backgrounds, experiences, and personalities live together daily. Okay, now we are going to the second part. The first problem is Mr. Eleazar repeatedly had problems when leading a class discussion with his junior high school students. No matter how involved in the topic the students were, there were usually several students sitting in the back who talked, shouted out silly, shouted out silly answer, and played with objects they had brought from home. The logical flow of argumentation, the friends one is this disruptive behavior in the classroom hinders the learning process for all students. The second is identifying and addressing the root causes of disruptive behavior can lead to more conducive learning environment. So, by implementing a combination of engagement strategies, clear behavioral expectations, seating arrangements, teacher presence, and students' involvement in rulemaking, Mr. Eleazar can reduce disruptive behavior can, and improve the overall effectiveness of class discussions. And the next problem is Zebano was one of the most provocative and disruptive students Miss Kiandra had ever taught. Throughout class, he continuously talked to girls and the students sitting near him. He made inappropriate and sarcastic remarks in response to almost anything Miss Kiandra said. When confronted by her, Zebano grinned charmingly and responded with exaggerated courtesy to the delight of the other students. The logical flow of argumentation is disruptive behavior from a student can significantly hinder the learning process and undermine classroom authority. Second, Addressing by addressing the cases of disruptive behavior throughout tailored intervention can mitigate its impact by increasing engagement, setting clear expectation, applying consistent behavior strategies, managing the classroom effectively, and involving parents and counselors. Ms. Kendra can reduce awareness disruptive behavior and foster a more positive learning environment. Mm, then the last problem is okay. Miss Yehezkiela was concerned about the frequency that had begun in her class. It reached a point where there was constant breaking among students. They became so angry and began yelling, shouting, and shoving one another during class. The logical flow of organization is frequently seen, and conflicts disrupt the learning environment and can cause emotional and physical harm to students. Second premise is establishing clear roles, fostering a positive classroom environment, teaching social emotion skills, and involving parents can reduce negative behaviors. Conclusion is by implementing these structural strategies, Ms. skill can create a more respectful and harmonious classroom, reducing teasing and conflicts. Um, we are going to the first problem. Biologically analyzing the problem and methodically applying solution, Mr. Eliezer can create a more orderly and productive classroom environment. Um, for the second problem, biologically analyzing the problem and applying structured solutions, Ms. Kendra can address the awareness behavior and improve the overall classroom dynamic. Otherwise, problem mm, biologically analyzing the problem and applying comprehensive solution. Ms. Nehezkiela can effectively address the teasing and conflict, fostering a safer and more positive learning environment for all students. Um, thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.